everyone. I am Sushma and I am from a Test Automation Studio. And today, the topic what we'll be covering is advanced test automation techniques and tools. The topic has been not very new, but it has been in use from last 1 2 years. So we are very much into the path of advanced test automation, and we'll be talking more about what tools and technologies we are currently using in our studio. And yeah, so we can start. So here now, as the topic already says, advanced. So advanced means like making progress or help something, like making progress. So here what happens is that automation has been in the field from past 10 years, but moving, like making it more advanced. There are some new technologies which have come and which are making the life really like simpler for us. So here the automation advanced test techniques means including methodologies which are very much efficient, reliable, and accurate. Like if we say accurate, it covers like maximum coverage of testing process, whatever we deal with. So here in this session, we'll discuss all the topics related to the advanced test techniques and tools, like what framework structure we should use, what all are, you'll be knowing about the name of the framework, like different design patterns and CI reporting, everything will be covering here. So the session will be little more theoretical because we'll be understanding what like how, if we are designing from end to end, uh, whatever we are designing from scratch till the end, what we can enhance, like what tools and technologies we can use to enhance our suit. So yeah, so let's get started. The agenda for the topic is like foundation and introduction. Here we'll be discussing more about what is advanced test automation, as already I've uh, discussed, like what is a term advanced test automation means. Here then we'll be talking about what is tool, what do you mean by tool, and how we can introduce our tool according to our requirement. Then moving ahead, we'll be talking more about advanced testing, like techniques in automation, test automation. So we'll discuss about, we I have just chosen two of the topics, like which is BDD and model based testing. There are many more. We can just touch those baselines and we can discuss further. Then the third point is enhancing automation with AI ML. Now we all know that AI is a very booming topic nowadays. So we'll see how AI ML is very much like in use and how it will be used in our future testing. Then comes the advanced test framework. Here we'll discuss more about how we are, whenever some requirement is coming to our side, how we'll be designing our framework from scratch, and what tools and technologies we'll be using, and what should we keep in mind while designing the framework. So here we'll discuss in and out of the framework. Um and yes, we'll be discussing more about building a custom framework. It does not means that a framework which has been already designed for some particular requirement will be used, like the same framework can be used in some other place also. It's not like that. We can tweak something in and out, and then we can like make a custom framework. Custom already means that we can implement many of other designs according to our need. Then comes the integration and continuous testing. This also, I think everybody knows that yes, it's not only like defining a framework will be just the end. After that, we need to have some continuous testing, because we are nowadays we are very much into agile methodology and not in the waterfall one. So continuous testing should be there, so that nothing is stopped, everything is flowing in the circular motion. And then finally we'll be having conclusion and review. like we'll be talking more about the best practices whatever we have discussed so far, and we'll be concluding with question and answer session. So yeah, so we already just discussed what is advanced test automation. So here the definition already says that it refers to the sophisticated methodologies, strategies, and software instruments employed in automated testing process to enhance. Like this is a very important point. Like why do we need uh, this test automation techniques? Because we need to enhance our efficiency, accuracy, coverage, and reliability. Like manual interventions can be done, but to stop those manual interventions we need to have very much efficient and reliable test cases with us. It should be like once implemented, it should not be like we should not be every time going inside that thing, and we'll be investing more and more our efforts. Like once done is should be done. So these involves techniques and tools which are designed to tackle complex testing scenarios and adapt to evolving like the software developments. Uh, this means that we'll include like various practices, which includes like framework selection, what how we'll be um, defining our framework, design what test design patterns will be taking care of, what tools we'll be using for continuous deployments, for reporting, etc. So this is what we call advanced test automation test. Now uh, here we'll talk about what is tool introduction. What do you mean by tool? So here in testing, like primary aim in testing is to improve accuracy and enhance coverage. So coverage, I'll be talking more about the coverage because here the coverage matters a lot. And once we are covering does not means like we'll be coming again and again to the same point and we'll be covering that again and again. Once done is should be done forever. And then we'll be enabling continuous integration and delivery of like the CI/CD, and involving advanced test automation tools to achieve these objectives. So how we'll be prioritizing our the scenarios, so that we'll be defining our tools. Like these are few of the tools you can see in my screen, which we have the purpose and what are the key features, like what are the benefits and why we can use these tools in our framework. So this is what. But if we so these all tools are uh, very much like, if we talk about the overall uh, benefits of these tools, is that we can do parallel testing, regression testing, and as well as like test script generation. Like with the help of these testing tools we can generate our test scripts, uh, like based on the predefined templates or from existing scenarios. So what happens, like these reduces the time required for test case creation. Like once we are creating, we can uh, generate more and more test scenarios or test scripts with the help of these tools. And so the one more benefit is that it improves accuracy. Like obviously if you're designing on in the same pattern, it will be like improving the accuracy, and it will like reduce the human errors. Like so yeah. And also if we talk about expanded test scenarios, like automation tools can handle broader range of test scenarios. Like it's not only we generally cover only 100 or 150 test cases. There are more than 1000. There are some scenarios where we generally implement more than 1000 test cases, irrespective of, like it can be web, like if we talk about front end automation, we have all, sometimes we implement more than 1000 test cases with web also, mobile also. So this can include complex scenarios and that can be challenging to cover manually. So these tools are very much like essential to use. So from here we can see the first one is Selenium WebDriver. It is like if we talk about automation, um, everybody has one tool in their mind, irrespective whether they know about the tool or not. That is Selenium. It is the like it has been we are using Selenium from last around I think more than 5 years, but still Selenium is very much into use till now also. The main reason of using Selenium WebDriver is that it is an open source, and it supports multiple languages like Java, Python, C Sharp. Many of them are there. And then the next point is that it enables robust and browser based regression. Like already I've discussed that once we design a test suite, or if we design a test script, we can generally create more test script using the same pattern. So this is also very much important in like this feature already there in Selenium WebDriver. So this is very commonly used. The second one is APM. As we are using Selenium WebDriver for generally for web based applications, so in the same manner APM we are using for mobile testing. Like it it can be used for Android as well as iOS platforms. So the functionalities are more or less similar. Like they also APM also supports multiple programming languages. The third one is the Postman. Postman, if we talk about API, always Postman comes into like pop-ups in our mind. So Postman we can also use to automate our the API test cases. And yeah, so documentation is very much easier using Postman. Now the next tool is Jenkins. If we talk about CI/CD, Jenkins we generally use because it is an open source, and it can be like easily integrated with any of the testing tools. uh, Here we are talking more about testing, so I'll be considering more. It can be integrated more with our testing tools. And the main thing is that it offers scheduling. Like we can schedule our test scripts, and it will be running on the defined scheduling time. And reporting is also generated. Like once it is scheduled, once the test cases are run, it will automatically be give sharing you the report over email or whatever platform you're choosing through Jenkins. Now the now the next one is TestNG. It is also a testing framework for Java, and this is also generally used because the main feature we if we talk about is like it is uh, like it is parameterized, data driven, and parallel testing can be done here. So what do we mean by data driven? Like it's not every time we'll be hard coding the data. We can have customized data, and dynamic data can be used while running these test cases. The next one is Cucumber. Regarding Cucumber, this uses BDD. BDD will be discussing more in the coming slides. So we can skip Cucumber for now. But yes, Cucumber is also there, which is very much useful for like it is human readable language, and it is easily communicating with the if you say the BA or the customers, and the developers at the testing end. So here we have the topic advanced techniques in test automation. Here I have chosen two of the topics mostly, which is behavior driven development, which is BDD, and model based testing. So these two topics will be discussing little bit more, and we'll understand why this is very much important in our test automation. So if we say behavior driven development, it is a software development approach, and it extends the principle of test driven development. like what happens here, uh, we generally collaborate, the developers, QA professionals, non-technical stakeholders, everybody like collaborate together. And here we, like, why do we collaborate? Because of some business process. So we can collaborate together and we can think of more and more of the test cases, and with the help of those collaboration we can will be going, like, there will be some X test cases which were not being thought, but yes, with the help of the collaboration we can think of more and more these scenarios. So this is what we call BDD, and the basic key element of BDD is that uh, it is created uh, as we have as I've already told, that here a collaboration happens between the developers, QA, and like technical and non-technical people. So this is often achieved through use of a common language. Like, we generally, the non-technical people will be having some common language which is not the very so-called technical language, but with the help of this common language we can describe the expected behavior of the system. And it encourages like use of natural language constructs, like Gherkin is there. Here what happens, like we generally define given, when, and then statement. With the help of these are like normal English statements. With the help of these statements we can generally define our test cases and express the behavior or the outcome according to like whatever the sentence has been given. So for using like BDD scenarios, we use tools like Cucumber. Cucumber we'll be discussing later on, as I've already said. And if you talk about the principles of BDD, so here the first point is collaboration and communication. As I've already told that uh, here the collaboration happens between the developers, QA professionals, technical, non-technicals, BA, product owners, customers, etc. So because of this collaboration, this is very important key point of BDD. And the second point is that it encourages discussion in common languages, common language, as the non-technical people cannot understand the technical things more, so there is a common language which is being used. The second point is behavior focused approach. So here what happens, like BDD shifts the focus from just writing the test case to describing the behavior of the application in the business readable format. What I've just given an example in the if we use Cucumber, we'll be using statements like given, when, then, where. We'll be defining something in given, something in when, and then will be like if we are doing this, the output should be this. So this is how the format should be. And the third point is automation as a byproduct. So are written in that way that can be automate like we can automate. And we generally focus on ensuring a shared understanding of system behavior. Like what happens here, generally if we talk about gherkin syntax, we generally use so if we give one example, we'll be having a feature where we'll be defining a very high level feature or the functionality of a system. Like if we talk about a feature, so what will happen, like in that login feature we'll be defining certain scenarios. Like if you're doing one scenario, so these are the steps whatever we'll be performing, and then this is the outcome we should have. So what will happen, will in a feature we'll be having different scenarios. Like if you talk about login, there will be one scenario where we'll be putting our perfect credentials, and then we'll be clicking on the login button and we'll be landing to that page. So for this we can write in a non-technical way in three forms, like given, when, and then. Given will be like defining the initial or the preconditions. If we say example, like if we have the URL, if we talk about Facebook, so the Facebook URL is there or not. So this will be covered in the given statement. When will be what? It will be describe the actions or the event that occurs. Like we'll be entering our username, we'll be entering our password and clicking on the login button. And the then statement will is what that specifies the expected outcome or result. Now we have logged in. We know manually if we are doing, we know that okay, a logging thing has been done and we have landed to the home page. But here also, while automating, we need to verify whether we are in that home page or not. So for this we can write the then statement, like which specify the expected outcome, which means that whenever we have clicked on the login button, we are redirecting to that home page or not. So this is how given when then statement can be written. And this is written in a very simple language which our customers can also understand, like what are the scenarios and how the implementation has been done. So these are the benefits of BDD, like improve collaboration, as every technical and non-technical people are collaborating together. So this is a very a plus point, as it helps in improve collaboration. Now higher test coverage. This means that obviously everybody is collaborating, so more and more thought process or think management has been done. So more and more test cases are there, more and more coverage are done. Also the scenarios written in Gherkin syntax, like whatever I've told you, given when then statement. So this covers behavioral aspect leading to compressive testing. And the third one is automation readiness. So this means that it allows to translate like the normal language into automation test case using Cucumber. So in a normal language we are using, and we are um converting into the automation test case. Now the second one is model based testing. So here what happens, like it is a methodology that leverages models to guide the creation of test cases. Now here in this, like this session aims to explain the concept behind model based testing, and the process of creating models and generating test cases from these models. So generally what happens, the models are being created and from these models the test cases are being derived. So we'll understand what is MBT concepts. So the first point is model centric approach. Now what do we mean by model centric approach? So this uses abstract models, and what do we mean by abstract models, which represents the behavior or the structure or the functionality which we have, like whatever the requirement is there. So this is the abstract model which we'll be having, and from, so we can consider like these models as a blueprint for designing those test cases. So this is the requirement which is given in the form of models, and from these models we'll be deriving our test cases. And then the coverage and efficiency, as like this also aims to improve test coverage and efficiency. So whatever we'll be talking about, everything will be involved in improving the test coverage and efficiency, because without improving our test coverage we cannot think of advance. And it helps in identifying different test scenarios like that might be missed in traditional testing methods. So with the help of this model design we'll be implementing more and more, and we can think like out of the box, and more and more scenarios will be implemented here. The third point is automation integration. Obviously if we, it encourages integration of models into the testing process, which helps in like enabling the automatic generation and execution of test cases. So here more and more test cases can be generated. Now if it allow, you must be thinking like how this MBT happens. So this has generally three process, that is model creation, model analysis, and test case generation. So what is model creation? Whatever the requirement is there, that is known as the model. And what So how these models will be defined, and this can be defined like it can be behavior, state, interaction, or data flow. Also we can get these in the forms of transition diagrams or UML diagrams, etc. So with the help of these models, we'll be analyzing these models. What is the purpose? Uh, so what we'll be seeing here, like we'll be validating and creating the model for accuracy, completeness, and consistency, like how fruitful the model is, and then we'll be deriving our test cases. So from these models, we'll generate our test cases automatically. So this can automatically be generated by using some tools. Um so we have some tools like Graph Walker, Spec Explorer. With the help of these tools, we can generally design our test cases. So the benefits of this MBT is that enhanced test coverage of obviously, because it becomes very efficient as the models are there and the test cases are being derived. So enhanced test coverage, improve efficiency because manual effort has been is very less, and the test cases are being generated, so efficiency is already improved. And early bug detection, because identifying issues in the model phase, whenever we are creating the model, that time only we are identifying whatever the loopholes are there, and early detections can be like early detections can happen, and early bug detections can be done here. So uh, so already told which tools are used here. We can use tools like Graph Walker, Spec Explorer, TVEC, etc. are there. So what these uh, tools does is that they assist in creating, validating, and executing models. So which helps very much in the model based testing and in the testing life cycle. Like in the full life cycle, it is very useful. Uh, Now, the next one is enhancing automation with AI/ML. Now, we already know that AI/ML in testing means like utilization of AI. The full form of AI is artificial intelligence and machine learning, ML, to techniques in testing. So, yes, that this topic is very booming nowadays, and yes, we can think of AI/ML in testing as well. So here, if you see, uh, so how we can think of AIML, and how what is the process of testing in AIML. So these are few of the process which I have jotted in points. The first one is test case generation. So in AIML, we can generate test case automatically based on system specification. Like some code analysis is there, or learning from existing test case and scenario. So from advanced thinking, we can generally define our test cases. Then the second one is test prioritization, which with the help of ML we can prioritize the test cases. uh, like prioritization can be done on the basis of finding defects or the criticality of the system, like, or any focus or high risk areas. So with the help of these points, we can prioritize the test cases. And the third point is defect prediction. So AI/ML can predict defects by analyzing historical data, like what happened in the history. We can from that it can predict. So defect prediction can be done not only from the historical data, but from the code complexity or the pattern within the software. So this is very important. So these are like um this is very much like if manual things cannot be done, like manual testing cannot think of these things, but yes, AI/ML can think of. The fourth point is anomaly detection. Now, ML techniques, we have certain techniques in ML which can detect anomalies or like deviations from expected behavior in the application. How we can do this? By enabling early identification of issues before they escalate. So everything has is being done in prior only, like predictions are already done so that nothing happens whenever the live scenarios are running. The fifth point is test optimization. Here what happens, like AIML algorithm can optimize testing process by like how this can be done by dynamically adjusting the test suits or improving the test coverage, or if there are any redundant test cases like similar kind of test cases, so it can optimize those scenarios. So test optimizations can be done here. Like test optimizations can be done in other tools also, but here it can be done in a very much not in a manual manner, but automatically it can happen. Now the sixth point is log analysis. So AIML helps in analyzing the log error reporting and to identify, like already discussed, what if the like defect predictions can be done. So it can identify the patterns or trends that might indicate the potential issues, like whatever the issues are there, it can be logging those, and we can get the analysis from those log generations. And the fifth one is automated test oracle. So this means that ML model act as a test oracle, providing expected output for the given input in the like in our automated testing. So yeah, so these are the new tools and technologies for AIML. As a topic itself is very booming and is trending, and it is a very new topic. So we are exploring these tools. Not only we are exploring, I think everybody is very much um, are exploring these tools. So so these are few of the tools which can be used, tools and technologies for AIML. Now what are the benefits of using AIML? That improve test coverage, obviously, because um, the test cases generation happens automatically. So test ca- uh, test coverage are improved, efficiency is there, accuracy is there, and faster execution can also happen here. And the prediction is also one of the most important benefit of AIML testing. Now with have, as we said, if we have benefits, there are some challenges because this is a very new topic and very much new to the market. So there are few of the challenges here. So the first challenge is like data quality and data quantity, or for effective ML, like it cannot predict uh, the data quality and quantity effectively. It can predict, but it cannot predict effectively. And uh, now the second one is that initial setup and training over it, because this we cannot talk more about this because this is very new, and the documents are still coming up, and not very much in the market. And these tools are not open source tools, so we cannot like do a hands on or just do an R&D on these topics very easily. Now coming to the advanced test framework, whatever we have discussed in the in the first slide, like how we'll be designing a framework from end to end, designing a framework, implementing the test cases, then running those test cases and doing a continuous integration like using the CI/CD. So this is what we call advanced test framework. So these frameworks are designed to handle the complex test scenarios. As we know, um, in the current scenarios, like in this modern era, nothing is very in a simpler form. Every application is being complex. So if we talk about an application being complex, obviously the test cases have to be matching to those complex scenarios. So these frameworks are designed in such a way to handle these complex testing scenarios, to improve efficiency and to enhance the test coverage. Um So this is what we call advanced test framework. Now, if we talk about the characteristics of the advanced test framework, the first one is modularity and reusability. So reusability means, like, obviously if you talk about more than 1,000 test cases, we cannot think of writing unique 1,000 test cases or unique 1,000 test cases having some functions, unique functions. There may be functions which are very common, or there may be code which are very common and can be reused in certain manner. So yes, reusability should be there. So the components and the functionalities, like these modular, allowing easy reuse of test code across different scenarios and projects. Now, the second one is abstraction and encapsulation. So this is also a very common functionality, like encapsulating test logics, so to reduce redundancy and simplify the test maintenance. Now, the third one is extensibility and customization. Here, what happens, the framework can be extended by uh, integrating with various tools and libraries to support additional functionalities. Uh, Whatever is needed, like after writing, we need to run those test cases, we need to generate report or logging or deployment, anything can be done. Now the next one is scalability. So uh, what do we mean by scalable? Is like able to accommodate testing requirements as the application or the project grows, and handling the last test cases more efficiently. So this means that it should be very scalable to handle those many scenarios, and in the future also, if more and more scenarios are coming, it should be very scalable to handle those large test suites. Then we have cross platform and cross browser compatibility. Obviously, if we talk about a web platforms, so it runs on different, like, cross browser compatibility should be there. It should be having ability to run on certain browsers like Chrome, Firefox, etc. So capable of running these test cases across different platform, both OS and browsers, to ensure the application compatibility. Like it should be compatible with each and every platform which is defined for that particular application. Then comes the reporting and analysis. This provides like comprehensive and compatible reporting features to track whether the test results, like how, what is the coverage, what, and uh, test results are there to analyze the test coverage effectively, so that we can obviously from the reporting we can analyze and we can improve it further. Now the 7 point is integrating with CI/CD pipeline. Why we integrate with CI/CD? Because like easily integrates into CI/CD pipeline to automate test executions and feedback loops. Like whenever we are doing using CI/CD, it will be in a circular motion, and every time it will be running and it will be sharing the report automatically. So nothing is stopped. It is running smoothly in a loop. Now, here are few of the examples of advanced test framework. So, Selenium WebDriver and TestNG we have already discussed in the previous slide. So, and these are the like these frameworks are generally used for whenever we are designing our frame, like whenever we are talking about automation test execution. So the first one is robot framework. It offers like ease of using through keyword driven approach. This uses keyword driven approach. And then we have Cucumber. We have talked very much about Cucumber in the previous slide. So this is a BDD approach framework which enabling the collaboration between the stakeholders through plain text, like whatever I've said, the given when then thing previously. Then is the Selenium WebDriver. It is a versatile framework for web application testing, allows cross-browser testing, um, and the interaction with web elements are very easy in Selenium WebDriver. And then is TestNG. This also we have already discussed, and this is a like framework for Java, and with enhanced functionalities like parameterization, data-driven parallel testing. Everything can be like done here. Then building a customized test automation framework. So the first thing is like assessment and requirement gathering. Obviously we need to understand and specify the testing requirement, technologies, project scope, everything should be identified earlier, like what will be the key functionalities, the test scenarios, and the areas for automation, whatever things are there, everything we have to gather in the first place. Then we'll be designing our framework architecture. It will be designed based on uh, the requirement analysis. So here what happens, like we'll be deciding upon like which programming language will be dealing with, which tools will be using, libraries, everything will be designing here in the framework architecture design. Then we'll deal then we can talk about component design and implementation. Now once the framework has been designed, how we'll be implementing that design, like develop and implement these component considering. So we have to always think of scalability, reusability, and maintainability in while implementing, because every scenario will be thinking of more than like 500 plus test cases. And then the fourth point is integration with testing tools. So yeah, so the framework should integrate with testing tools, version control system, and CI/CD pipelines as needed, so that seamless interaction can happen between the framework and these tools. And then customization and extensibility. So these all points are from end to end, from from the requirement gathering till delivering our report generation and delivering to the client. So these are the five process we should always think of while we are designing or implementing from end to end of a test suite. So customization and extensibility means provide option for customize, like allowing easy integration of new functionality. So once we have done that, does not means that there's a full stop there. We can enhance it more and more as per the requirements if the requirement comes on. Now reusability and enhancement, we have already scalable, reusability, and maintainability we have already discussed. So how we can achieve those things? So we can achieve by some of the design patterns which are already there in our advanced testing terminology. So with the help of these like design patterns, we can achieve the points which I've already said, like scalable, reusable, and maintainability. So the first one is page object model. I think this is a very popular and uh, design pattern which are generally used. So here what happens, like organize web elements and their interaction in separate classes, and then enhance test maintenance and readability. So if you see in this diagram here, we have page objects and we have certain pages like login page, main page, menu bar, header section. So these are the pages which are already defined, and these pages have their the functions which can be like login has been done, or login button is clicked, or credentials are being entered, the common functionalities or the pages which are already defined. And now these functions will be using later on, like if you see above in the test script. So here are the test cases where we'll be generally using these functions. So what happens, like reusability is already there and maintainability is also there, because if something changes in the function or functionality later on, Like if we talk about login, so something happens later on, so we don't have to go into each test script and change. We'll be directly changing in the login page, and then it can automatically be redirect, like we changing only in at one place, and can be um, checked on every places wherever the function has been used. So this is page object model. Then comes the singleton pattern. Here what happens, like ensures only one instance of a class is created, and often used for resource or configuration. So this is called singleton pattern. Then we have factory pattern. Then we have a decorator pattern. So factory patterns is what it creates object without specifying the exact class, and then um, these are useful for creating different type of object based on the input. So this also uses in like reusability. And then is the decorator pattern. So this adds a new functionalities to the object, like dynamically allowing flexibility in extending the behaviors. So these are the four design patterns which are generally used. Now comes integration of tools for seamless test automation. Once the framework has been designed, now we have to make the process very continuous. And how to make this process continuous, like to make um, like we have made a robust and advanced framework according to our need. So here that the full stop is not there. Now our job is to make it smoothly running, and the um, running, like the code will be running parallelly, and if some changes are done, the after doing those changes also, the continuous testing process can happen. So for this, the first one is a purpose of integration. Like we all are into agile world now, and like so very much continuous process is being happening. So the primary aim is to use tools in different phases of software, like software development life cycle, what we call SDLC, to create like a continuous and automated testing process. So this is how a continuous testing process happens. The second point is tools involved. Which tools will be involving for this continuous testing process? So here there are many type of tools which we can think of. So a few of them are, like if we have to use for version control system, we can use Git. For continuous integration, we can use Jenkins or GitLab. And so these kind of involved for the continuous testing process. The third one is continuous testing workflow. So what do we mean by continuous testing workflow? Like establishing a workflow where each tool can pass data and trigger uh, within the testing pipeline. So I'll give you one small example. Whenever we are uh, uh, doing some code changes, and whenever we are pushing our code, what happens, our um, a pipeline is automatically executed, which shows whether whether the new changes, whatever we have pushed, is running correctly or not. And with the help of that, the report generation happens there. Like if everything has been passed or whatever the report is, we can merge those code into our main pipeline. So this things happens in continuous testing workflow. So this ensures the continuous testing through like the SDLC. Then integration best practices. So what do we mean by integration best practices? Here the first point is API and plugin compatibility. So we choose tools with robust API plugin functionality to smooth interaction, like interaction of the pipeline, like how the pipeline will be running. The second one is standard data format. So we'll be using dynamic data can be used. So we can use standardized data format like JSON, XML. So no hard coding should be there, and some data formats can be used and can be used external to the code. like credentials and everything can be there. So third point is automation scripts and hooks. So this is what develop automation scripts or use hooks by providing tools to enable interaction, like between the different stages of the pipeline. And the fourth one is test environment synchronization. So we must be having different type of environments with us. It's not only the main live environment is there. There are some certain environments. So synchronizing among all those environments is also uh, important, and this is also considered as a best practices. Now benefits of tool integration. After, what happens if we are integrating? Obviously efficiency and speed has been increased because manual interventions have been like minimized a lot. Second is consistency and accuracy. Obviously it like human, it reduces human error, and accuracy is been there. Enhanced collaboration. So this like the collaboration between the team members on different phases of SDLC is there. So enhanced collaboration uh, is very much here. And now, what are the commonly integrated tools in test automation pipelines? So these are the commonly integrated tools which we generally used in our pipeline. So here I have named few of them which are using. So first one is test management tool. So if we talk about test management tools, so there are tools like Jira, TestRail, Zypher. So these tools are there for like test planning, management, and tracking. So we can use these tools. Now second is version control. So integration of version control systems like Git for versioning and managing test script and artifacts. So we can use Git for that. For continuous integration and continuous deployment of tools, we can use Jenkins, GitLab, CI. uh, so we can use these kind of tools. What happens whenever we are like pushing our code, we are deployment triggered by the code changes. So deployment is being whenever the code changes are been done. Then is automating testing framework. We already have discussed what were the testing frameworks we can use, like Selenium, APM, or any of the testing framework which is adapting to our the requirements. Then comes the monitoring and reporting tools. So once everything has been done, so we need to generate those reports to check whether everything has is functioning in a proper manner or not. So for integration and monitoring, we can use Grafana, etc., for like real time performance and monitoring of the report. So these are the 5 points which are, if we talk about from end to end, so these are the 5 points which should be there whenever we are designing our test cases. Now uh, if we talk about continuous testing in integration, so this involves continuous execution of test cases throughout integration phase. Like the cycle should continue. So what are the advantages, and uh, what happens if we are doing a continuous testing? So first point is automated triggering of test cases. So whenever a new code is integrated into the main branch, what happens, like uh, the pipeline can be like triggered, and can we can check whether the set of code which has been pushed is like is perfect or not. How can we check? With the help of traceability and reporting. With the help of reporting, we can check whether uh, whatever we check-ins we have done is perfectly fine or not. And it can be also used for tracking bugs, because identifies integration issues early in the development phase. And then immediate feedback and loops. Obviously if we are getting the reports, we'll be getting immediate feedbacks. So continuous testing is there. And whenever a new changes has been done, the process is being going on, the reporting has been done, so immediate feedback will be obviously uh, happening every time. Now the fourth point is parallel and distributed testing. So here what happens, it's not like every time we'll be running serially. If we have n number of test cases, so tests are often run in parallel or distributed across multiple environment to speed up the process and to uncover issues across like different configurations. So parallel and distributed testing is also very much important while we think of continuous integration in testing, so that uh, the process will not take very much time to cover. Then we have then comes implementing continuous testing strategies. So these are four of the testing strategies which generally we think of. We are running short of time, so I'll just tell you what are these testing strategies. Like parallel testing, what just we have talked about, we'll be running those test cases parallelly. Then shift left testing strategies and continuous testing, and the fourth one is continuous testing overview. uh, Now as we have covered each and every topic about advanced test technologies, so this is the recap of whatever we have learned so far. So the best so earlier we have already discussed what is page object model in Selenium WebDriver. So here is one example where we are using a page object model. Now why we are using page object model? Because like this helps in reducing the code duplication. So here what happens, we have a class called login page. We are creating an object of this, and we can use these like enter credentials, login button, so we can use these functions wherever we want. So this is one of the best practices. Now second one is like reporting. For test ng reporting we can use, so whenever we are asserting we can use reporting, and we can check whether though the condition is being uh, is pass or fail. So and the third one is version control usage. Already talked about the git thing. So yeah, so this is what the topic was all about, covering like thinking of whenever we are designing uh, talking about like the advanced test automation techniques and tools. So we should be thinking about all these topics prior whenever we are describing or designing from end to end, from planning till the reporting. So I am done with my session. Do you have anything to ask?
Guys, if you're having any queries, then please let me know. And I guess Sushma will be happy to answer your queries. And if in case you don't have any queries as of now, then you can surely reach out to Sushma later on Teams. Okay, so there's no reaction. Okay, so thank you, Sushma, for conducting this session. And I guess the things have been very, very clear and sound to everyone. So if in case you'll be having any queries, I guess you would be loving to resolve those. And I'd suggest all of you to please share your feedbacks for this session after the session, and we'll be giving the assessment to all of you who have attended this session. Request you to kindly go through it as well. Okay, so thank you all of you for joining the session, and I guess we are good to wrap up over.
Thank you. Thank you.